If you've ever wished you had a podcasting pro with nearly a decade of experience whispering growth secrets into your ear, that's exactly what you'll get when you tune into Podcast Growth Tools with me, your host, Kylie Chandler. This is the ultimate show for you if you're ready to grow your podcast audience, skyrocket engagement, and turn your show into a traffic-driving, list-building powerhouse. I've been in the podcasting world since 2015, helping creators like Amy Porterfield grow their shows to over 1 million downloads a month. My superpower? Breaking down proven podcast strategies and marketing techniques into step-by-step guidance you can actually implement without fluff, overwhelm, or guesswork. On this show, we're getting real about what actually moves the needle when it comes to growing your podcast audience and using it to boost your email list growth. From actionable insights and expert interviews to behind-the-scenes secrets, I'll help you turn your podcast into a traffic-driving, list-growing machine. Grab your earbuds, hit subscribe, and let's take your podcast to the next level. Okay, let's be real for a second. You're busy, you're running a podcast, maybe a business, maybe a whole life outside of this whole content creation thing like me. You're a mama and you're trying to juggle it all. And yet every week you're cranking out new episodes, you're brainstorming new ideas, you're writing new social content, creating new posts, and really just trying to keep up with it all. So I have to ask, what if you didn't have to? So welcome to Podcast Growth Tools. I'm so glad you're here. So today we are diving into repurposing your content with efficiency so that you don't have to create new. Because what if instead of constantly creating more and constantly creating new, you got better at creating and using what you already have? Like, what if the content that you've already been pouring your time and effort and energy into could be working harder for you, reaching more people and building momentum without requiring you to be in constant production mode? So that's where this repurposing with efficiency comes in. This is the strategy that will completely shift the way you think about content creation. It's about really maximizing every single episode, every single piece of long form content that you create so that it continues to work for you long after you hit publish. So if that sounds good to you, I hope you're with me. And before you think, Kylie, I already repurpose, I also want you to stick with me because there's a difference between kind of casually repurposing and just like when you remember to do it versus having a streamlined strategic repurposing system that allows you to grow your audience, grow your email list in a sustainable way without doubling your workload and also without just almost throwing away the content you work so hard to create and forgetting, like creating it, pushing publish, and then being done with it. So today I'm walking you through how to turn one long form piece of content into an entire content ecosystem, which I call your content tree. And for this episode, when I say long form, I'm talking about either podcasts or YouTube videos. But if you're a podcaster only, don't worry, you don't need to start doing videos for this to work for you. I'll show you exactly how to make this strategy work regardless of your format, exactly as you have it right now. And because we are going to be going over a lot today, I'm going to be giving you lots of things to think about. I'm going to talk you through various ways to repurpose your content. I actually put together a content repurposing checklist that you can start to use to make sure that you're hitting all the buckets that we talk about. And eventually, this just turns into your system. It turns into what you do every single time you're prepping and working on an episode and when you publish it. So go ahead to podcastmarketinghub.com/repurpose. That's podcastmarketinghub.com/repurpose. And you'll get that checklist. It'll be laid out for you really nicely so that you can print it off or you can download it and just have it there for you right now. And then maybe you turn it into part of your project management system or whatever it might be, or your system for creating your podcast. So let's get into it. Now, I like to think of your long form content as the top of your content tree. So everything starts here. This is your core content. It's the foundation of your entire content strategy. From this one source, you can create multiple pieces of content across different platforms, allowing you to reach your audience in various ways. And what I love about that is you are going to have people who want to consume your content in different ways, right? Some like video, some like audio if you do the two. Some like just kind of like a bulleted overview of it, and then that drives them to the audio. So obviously everything we create, we're trying to drive them to our long form content to get those downloads, to get those views. But to entice somebody, you need to create different types of ways to approach it to really drive them to that long form content. All right, so let's just start out and say that you have a weekly podcast episode or YouTube video or both. From that one piece of long form content, here's what you can purpose into one thing. So let's say you create a weekly podcast episode or YouTube video, or maybe you do both. From that one piece of content, here's what you can do to repurpose it. Let's say that you do have a podcast first business, or you're a podcast first entrepreneur, like that's your main piece of long form content. If you're interested, what you could do is you could also record at the same time, which is what I do. And then now I have a YouTube video. Vice versa, if you're a YouTube first long form content entrepreneur, then maybe you just export that audio, edit that video, export the audio, the edited audio, and boom, you have a podcast that you can be releasing. I think a lot of you guys are doing this. So that's just kind of the obvious. But let's move into the next one. So the next one is creating short form clips. Now, the beautiful thing about these is you can create 2 to 3 really juicy clips, and these can be used as YouTube shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you can use them on LinkedIn. You can do Pinterest. Yes, Pinterest supports video. You can also on Spotify take one of these clips, 60 seconds or less, and you can upload that to after the episode is published. You can actually go into Spotify for creators and you can upload one clip to go in alignment with that episode. So you can be using these a ton. Now, I use Riverside to record these, and something that Riverside allows you to do is create magic clips. So what it'll do is it'll scan through the episode and then pull what it thinks are the juiciest bits. It does okay. Like, I think that it gives you a good starting point. The way that my VA and I work through it is we will look at those and kind of let it jog our memory about the conversation. And then we will edit it to what we think is more juicy. Obviously, AI isn't going to give you the best of everything, but this is a great way if you're a solopreneur or if you don't have a lot of extra time to just have some clips that you can dive into and use. I actually am just starting to move into having a podcast assistant like manually go through the episodes and pull really juicy clips, because I do feel that that's always better than AI, but it's a big overhaul. So I very much understand that as well. But I just wanted to mention that as something to think about. And I know there's other platforms that also are really great at helping you pull the juiciest clips. Another way you can do this is creating a weekly newsletter that summarizes the main points or insights from your episode and then notify your subscribers about the episode. Now, I always talk about this. I really encourage you to make that newsletter a little bit more story based, a little bit more educational, valuable versus just here's the episode, here's the bullets, here's where you can listen. Make it more engaging for your audience. The other thing you can do is you can also do like a monthly roundup email or newsletter. So I would recommend choosing one or the other, depending on what your audience likes. And you can simply ask them, do you prefer a weekly email or do you like a monthly roundup? Another fun way to really repurpose older episodes is maybe you send a monthly themed email. So let's say it's like Women's History Month or something like that, then maybe you do a roundup of your top episodes empowering women or something like that. Or you could do a Thanksgiving themed one where it's like episodes that help you to be more grateful for things or something like that. But the cool thing about this is then you can pull on some of your past really well performing episodes and kind of bring them back to life in this newsletter. Another fun thing that you can do is you can actually take any newsletter you create, whether it's a weekly newsletter, a monthly roundup of the episodes that went live that month, or a monthly themed newsletter, and you can put that on LinkedIn as a newsletter and have different subscribers on your LinkedIn account. So I always recommend doing that. It's just more bang for your buck. Moving on. So another way is you can create a LinkedIn post repurposing that content of that episode. You can do a quote, you can do a video if you created one. Another way is creating a carousel post highlighting key steps, framework, takeaways, and these can obviously be shared on Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, wherever your audience is, wherever you're currently posting. And then I would also recommend creating 3 to 5 graphics pulled from your episode that can be used for standalone posts. And what I like to do is when you are editing the episode and you're working with AI, you ask what the juiciest quotes are or the most interesting sections, and then you pull quotes from those things. And I like to just keep them in a Google Sheet. And that way, if you need content, for instance, if you're planning out your weekly content post or something like that, and you're like, I want to pull a quote from one of my past podcast episodes and then promote the podcast again. Go back, check out your Google Sheets with different quotes, and then pick one that you like and use that. So that's nice to just have an ongoing log of quotes from every single episode. You don't have to use them that week or right then, but down the road, it's content for you to easily create and turn into something. Another wonderful way to really stretch your content is to create SEO rich blog style show notes. I love this strategy. This is a great way to drive traffic and improve discoverability on your website and eventually get those web pages ranking. It's also really good for driving people and traffic to your website, right? If you want more information on how to create really amazing SEO rich blog style show notes, go check out episode 4 of Podcast Growth Tools. I'll link it up for you, but I go deep dive into that content there. And I also have a free resource to support you with it, a template that you can use. So episode 4, be sure to check it out. And then lastly, what I always love to do is create a free resource or lead magnet based on the content from your episode. Obviously, this is great for growing your email list, but it's also you already went to the extent to create the content. You might as well get more bang for your buck, create a free resource. And the counterpart of that is actually I'm noticing people are also starting to create paid, like low ticket offers from the content of their episodes, especially if you have a very tangible step by step type episode or step by step type podcast. Turning that content into a low ticket offer, like whether it's a checklist or a free guide or something like that. That's a brilliant idea. I love it. As long as the content's really juicy, really tangible, really step by step. So by taking one long form piece of content and strategically breaking it down into multiple formats, obviously you're increasing your reach, you're making your content work for multiple platforms and reinforcing your message in different ways. I mean, we just went over, I think 12, and that's the bare minimum of what you could create. I mean, sky's the limit with this. Now, let's take it further. If you want to go even further with this, there are other ways to pull from existing content to fuel your long form episodes. So if you have a membership or a paid course, take small but valuable pieces of that content and repurpose them into podcast episodes, YouTube videos. This gives your audience a taste of what you offer while still positioning your paid content as the next step. So I love this strategy. And the reason I say small but valuable is because you don't want to give too much away where they start to feel like, oh, you know what? She gives everything away. I don't need to pay for it because she gives me so much value here. Why would I join her membership? So you want it to be really a teaser to get people into your paid membership, right? Or your paid content. So always be thinking, what's the smallest nugget, but the most value I can give them to entice them to take that next step? Another thing, if you've ever hosted like a masterclass or a training, you can break that content into smaller chunks and then use it to create long form episodes. So maybe you can go a little bit further from what you taught in the masterclass or in the training. Another thing, if you're launching a new offer, consider taking your masterclass or webinar and repurposing that into an episode for a limited time to drive visibility and conversions. So I've done this for a couple entrepreneurs where they were launching, they did a masterclass. We took that masterclass, we totally edited out like the pieces where they're talking to the audience on Zoom or whatever it might be, where they're, like drop a thumbs up in the chat if this is resonating. You've been on one, you know what I mean. So we remove all of that, and then we move the Q&A often, unless it's very valuable. And then we have the podcast host record just an intro saying, hey guys, I created this amazing webinar. The content is so good. And I wanted to make sure that you saw it. And if you weren't able to be there with me live, I wanted to make sure you got your hands on it, but this is only available for a limited time because it actually leads into my digital course. The doors are open. So be sure you check this out, listen to it. And then if you are interested in joining me for XYZ, be sure you head to blah, blah, blah. So it kind of allows people who maybe couldn't be on your free webinar or things like that to put you in your pocket and go on the go with you. It also introduces it to people who might not have even seen or heard about your launch, your podcast listeners. So that's kind of a fun little way to do that. Oh, and then what I would do is I would close it. I would like take the podcast down either the day before your cart close or like halfway through your cart close day so that you can still get people in. Okay. And then another fun thing is to use your long form podcast or YouTube as above and beyond content in your paid or free offers. In your course platform, for example, so if you have Kajabi and you have a course in there, what you can do is, let's say that you have a lesson, maybe at the very bottom of the lesson, you can say, if you want to take this content a step further, I actually recorded a podcast episode. You can check it out here. Or if you have like a free Facebook community, obviously you want to be promoting your podcast in there as well. So those are great ways to do that. Listen, at the end of the day, your best content doesn't have to stay locked away in one place, right? When repurposing intentionally, it can reach more people, it can engage new audiences, it can drive business growth. So I really encourage you to start thinking about different ways that you can repurpose your content. You can create a system, all that good stuff. Now, here's the thing. This only works if you have a system, right? If you're just repurposing content randomly when you have time, you're going to start to feel scattered, overwhelmed, and there's going to be no consistency. So let's break this down into really simple, repeatable workflow, right? So you're going to obviously start with your long form content. You're going to record the podcast, the YouTube video. You are then going to create a content breakdown document. So outline the key takeaways, put your quotes into your overall Google Sheets, like we talked about, grab timestamps that you can easily pull later. And then from there, start to be thinking through what is going to turn into what kind of content. So assign content formats, decide which part will become short form videos, newsletters, blog posts, social media graphics, carousels, all that good stuff. And then once you've created it, aim to schedule everything in advance. Use a content calendar to plan out when and where each piece of repurposed content will be published, and then use software that allows you to publish ahead as much as possible, right? So I know a lot of people there's so many different social media scheduling platforms. So aim to use one. It's going to take a huge load off of your plate. Or if you have a VA who can schedule these for you, that's also really helpful. And then, of course, automate what you can. Like I said, a social media scheduling platform is great, but also schedule your newsletters ahead, automate those, schedule your podcast distribution. Hopefully, you're not manually doing this. Hopefully, you have a really great podcast hosting platform. And then if you have a podcast project management flow, be sure to put all of these steps into that flow. And actually, I did an episode all about project management. So go check it out. It is episode 11. So I'm going to link that up for you. Go check it out. Episode 11. I deep dive into how to create a really strong podcast project management flow for you. And then here's the thing. If you have the means, consider hiring a VA, a virtual assistant, to support you with some of these things. Like, these are great things to have a VA take over, and you can do it for pretty affordable, and it literally will change your life. You'll start to enjoy creating your podcast again. So I highly recommend, if you're able to do that, do it. By having a clear system in place, I promise you, you will eliminate decision fatigue, and you're ensuring that every piece of content is being used to its full potential. Like, if you are putting the effort and the energy into creating a podcast or a YouTube video, this is obviously a big piece of your business. So you need to consider how you can get the reach out further. And this is a great way to do that. So here's what I want you to take away from this episode. You don't need to create more content. You need to create content that works harder for you. So repurposing efficiently is all about making your content go further, maximizing what you've already created, and reaching your audience in a more strategic way. Now, if this episode gave you some ideas, make sure you're subscribed because I'm always sharing ways to help you streamline your podcast marketing. And of course, like I said, I'm going to put together a content repurposing checklist for you. It's going to help you make sure that you're hitting all of the buckets that we talked about today, and then you can use it to turn into a system. So head to podcastmarketinghub.com/repurpose and you can grab that there. And then again, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for choosing this podcast. If you'd be so kind, leave a rating, leave a review, share it. I would love to support more podcasters so that we can keep growing and supporting you guys all in the best way. So thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time.